A lot of rumors have been going back and forth regarding WWE's upcoming plan to switch to a TV-14 rating, so we'll get into that story. We'll also check out Bayley's latest return teaser, Natalya's response to reports, and much more. Let's start things off with these rumors and reports surrounding WWE's apparent change to a TV-14 rating. News first broke out on July 14th that WWE Monday Night Raw would be going back to a TV-14 rating for the first time since 2008. The apparent news definitely sparked some interest and chatter from the wrestling community online. The news went so viral that even big outlets like Bleacher Report were even covering the story. From 2008 to modern day 2022, WWE's television product has been a PG rating. Fans have nicknamed this entire era as the PG era of WWE. So when the news came out that Raw was going back to a TV-14 rating for the first time in 14 years, fans were proclaiming that the PG era was officially over. The report said that on July 18th would be the first TV-14 edition of Raw and would stay that way with the rating going forward. After all the buzz and discussion has been going around about what a WWE TV-14 product would look like in 2022, another update came out later that night that said the TV-14 change was called off. The reports claimed that the move wasn't actually made official and was just something they were considering to pull the trigger on this week. But it looks like it was called off. The reports claim that this doesn't mean the change is called off forever. There's still a chance that they could turn around any week now and go through that TV-14 change. People were very curious to see the changes, if any, would happen with a higher rating for the show. A group of fans weren't really hyped about the rumored TV-14 change. They claimed that an overnight change from PG to TV-14 isn't going to magically improve WWE's lackluster storylines and creative. And that's true, they do have a point. Changing the rating alone isn't going to magically make the show a must-watch and an absolute perfect show, but it's a decent start. TV-14 would slightly open up the door for maybe different storyline directions that were unacceptable for a PG rating. So maybe it does give creative a tiny amount of new wiggle room within storylines to work with. But yes, those fans do have a point. WWE creative would still have to give it their all to improve the entire product as a whole. So it was an exciting announcement for the few hours before it was actually called off. We'll just have to see if they do decide to ever pull the trigger on the TV-14 rating here in the immediate future. Natalya has been a constant reoccurring name in the headlines this week ever since the entire live event situation went down with Liv Morgan. We talked about that moment earlier in the week, but just to go over it quickly. Liv Morgan hits her finisher on Natalya, gets the 3 count, and instead of selling the finisher and slowly rolling out of the ring, selling the effects of the match, Natalya springs back up to her feet, points a finger at Liv Morgan's face, and storms to the back, not selling anything that happened during the match. Clearly something happened, or Natalya was in some sort of mood over something. Well, a recent report came out following the live event incident with Liv Morgan that allegedly provides some context to everything that has been happening with Natalya. The report claims that Natalya has been going after producers and writers for how she constantly looks like a jobber in her matches. The reports claim that she knows her role and what she has to do, but just doesn't want to appear as this jobber that has no shot of winning matches. The report claims that Natalya has been pushing for answers from everyone backstage about her usage. But when she's in front of Vince McMahon, she apparently plays it off as being completely happy and grateful for the opportunities she gets. The article even mentioned Natalya's husband, TJ Wilson, and how some backstage individuals thought of addressing the Natalya issue with him. Natalya quoted the article on Twitter and said it was complete BS. TJ Wilson also jokingly responded to the article, saying that they'll have to talk to Vince McMahon about Natalya's attitude problem. So the reliability of that report is completely up in the air. It doesn't fully make sense just because she looked incredible during her Money in the Bank title match against Ronda Rousey. Natalya took Ronda Rousey all the way to her limits. And when you really think about it, the work that Natalya did on Ronda Rousey is what pretty much made Liv Morgan have a successful cash-in. Ronda was so hurt from what Natalya was doing to her that it was one of the biggest reasons why Liv did pull off that big upset win. So, to see a report that Natalya feels like she's treated as a jobber is one of those tricky topics that you don't know to believe or not to believe. And it's mostly due to the fact that Natalya's usage could be a bit inconsistent at times from WWE. She'll look great and effective like the Ronda Rousey match at Money in the Bank, but then there'll be some times where she'll shockingly lose a match that she should have won easily. So yes, there is a bit of an issue when it comes to the bigger picture of her usage, but that's the latest there on that situation. Natalya says there's no truth to the article about her backstage attitude. Bayley's WWE return is the topic that keeps coming up, but never actually happens. NXT announced that there'll be a massive 20 women over the top rope battle royal match to determine the next #1 contender for Mandy Rose's NXT Women's Championship. Mandy quoted the announcement and said that she's looking forward to whoever steps up. That's when Bayley responded to Mandy Rose's tweet and had this to say, quote, "I don't know, maybe someone you wouldn't expect. What do you think?" End quote. Mandy responded to Bayley by saying that she loves surprises. So by this point, Bayley has teased her return for every brand and every special event that WWE has had this year. But a return to NXT is still an interesting idea. Of course, it's something that fans don't expect at all. Everyone assumes that Bayley is either returning to Raw or SmackDown, and that's it. So an NXT return from Bayley would definitely shock and surprise everyone. Bayley could return to her old stomping grounds to put an end to Mandy Rose's long title reign. Mandy just cracked into the list of the top 5 longest title reigns in the history of the NXT Women's title. It's also an interesting stat that Mandy has surpassed the length of all the horsewomen's title reigns in NXT. Charlotte held the title for 258 days, Bayley held the title for 233 days, Sasha Banks held the title for 192 days, and Becky Lynch never won the title at all. Mandy Rose has just surpassed 260 days as NXT Women's Champion, surpassing Charlotte and the rest of the horsewomen's title reigns in overall length. So maybe you would have a decent storyline there for one of the original members of the NXT women's roster, Bayley, to return and try to dethrone Mandy Rose as champion in order to defend her honor and the legacy of the horsewomen in modern-day NXT. So it would be a fun little story and great feud to see unfold. Mandy Rose is continuing to take down everything during this great NXT women's title reign. And what better way to gain even more respect than defending against a former NXT original champion like Bayley? But what are your thoughts on today's stories? Leave your comments below. Don't forget to subscribe with all notifications on and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.